The Lancaster villa shimmered under the glow of golden chandeliers. Tonight wasn't just another evening. It was a display of wealth, pride, and unspoken rivalry. The matriarch of the Lancaster family, Mrs. Lancaster, was celebrating her 70th birthday, and the hall pulsed with the arrogance of those who believed themselves untouchable. Every corner was alive with chatter. Grandchildren and in-laws, draped in designer outfits and dripping with jewelry, paraded forward one by one. Their arms carried treasures, each gift more extravagant than the last. Each gesture a calculated attempt to buy favor from the old woman who sat proudly at the center of it all. One grandson-in-law smirked as he presented his offering. "Grandma, I heard you love tea. This poor brick is a century old, worth $500,000. The crowd gasped in admiration, and Mrs. Lancaster's lips curled into the faintest smile. Another man stepped forward, bowing reverently. "And since you love Buddhism, Grandma, here is a jade Buddha. Hettian jade, 700,000. The applause was thunderous. The room basked in admiration. Mrs. Lancaster's eyes glimmered with approval. And then Derek stepped forward. He wasn't clad in designer labels. No golden cufflinks, no Italian leather shoes. Just a plain, modest suit. At his side stood Sarah, his wife, the eldest granddaughter of the Lancaster matriarch. Derek's voice was quiet, almost hesitant. "Grandma, I haven't brought a gift. I came with a request." The room stilled. His words cut through the air like a blade. "My Aunt Lily, who raised me as her own, is dying. Uremia. She needs dialysis and a transplant. The hospital says 1 million can save her life. I'm begging you, please help me." A silence heavier than stone settled. The guests exchanged glances, whispers rising. Then, crash. A teacup exploded against the marble floor. Mrs. Lancaster's hand trembled with fury as she spat. "You useless fool! On my birthday, you dare come empty-handed and ask for money. Do you want me dead?" Sarah flinched, her voice trembling as she tried to shield him. "Grandma, please, he didn't mean..." But Jessica, her cousin, scoffed loud enough for the hall to hear. "Of course he meant it. Derek's been nothing but a parasite for 3 years. No job, no future. And now he wants charity? How pitiful." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Charles Benson, Jessica's smug fiancé, seized the moment. "That's the difference between us, Sarah. While Derek begs for 1 million, I give 1 million. He motioned to a butler who unveiled a shimmering jade amulet. 3 million for Grandma." The crowd gasped again. Mrs. Lancaster's face lit with approval. "Now this is how a man behaves. Sarah," her voice hardened, "divorce that freeloader. Marry Charles. Do this, and I will fund your aunt's treatment. Otherwise, forget it." Sarah's eyes brimmed with tears. Around her, the family jeered, their words slicing deeper than knives. Jessica sneered. "If it were me, I wouldn't think twice. Why cling to dead weight when gold is within reach?" Derek clenched his fists. His throat tightened, but he spoke no words. The humiliation was deafening, his dignity trampled under mocking laughter. As he turned to leave, Edward tossed a coin at his feet. "For your troubles," he said, smirking. The coin clattered on the floor, a sound louder than all the jeers combined. Rain drummed against the windshield as Derek sat alone in a borrowed car. His reflection in the glass looked like a stranger. The words, The mockery, the look of disappointment in Sarah's eyes, replayed in his mind like a tormenting echo. He drove to the hospital. Maybe Aunt Lily's smile would ease the sting. Maybe there was still hope. At the reception desk, he asked, "Lily Harper, room 307. The nurse looked up. "She's no longer here. Transferred to St. Regis Medical Center in Eastcliff last night. Someone already paid for the first phase of her treatment." Derek froze. Paid? Who? The nurse shrugged. They didn't leave a name, but the surgery costs nearly $2 million more. $2 million. The figure crushed him. To Derek, it might as well have been $2 billion. And then, young Master Derek. The voice came from behind. Derek turned sharply. A tall man in a dark tailored suit stood before him. His presence was commanding. His face older but familiar. "Richard Turner," Derek muttered. The man gave a bittersweet smile. "Yes, I've been searching for you, and finally I've found you." Derek's chest tightened. "You were the one who forced my parents out of Eastcliff. Why now?" Richard lowered his gaze. "What happened in the past cannot be undone. But before your father died, he searched for you. Until his last breath. He left you everything. His fortune, his legacy, and the truth." Derek's voice trembled. "The truth." Richard leaned closer, his words sharp and deliberate. "You are the rightful heir of the Lancaster fortune. What they flaunt now is but a shadow. Your father left a will. The key lies with you, but you must return to Eastcliff." Derek shook his head. "I don't want anything from those who destroyed my family." "This isn't about what you want," Richard said firmly. "It's about what is yours. If you want to save Aunt Lily, if you want to prove yourself, not just to Sarah, but to everyone, this is your only chance." Derek's breath hitched. His eyes wandered to the horizon outside the hospital window. For the first time in years, the despair inside him shifted into something else. Resolve. His voice steadied. "Then take me to Eastcliff." The road stretched endlessly, yet every mile carried Derek closer to a truth he wasn't sure he was ready to face. Richard's SUV hummed as the city lights of Eastcliff slowly pierced the horizon. "Everything you've been told was a lie," Richard muttered from the driver's seat. "You'll understand soon." Derek said nothing, but his pulse quickened. They arrived at a sprawling mansion on the city's outskirts. Inside, an elderly butler bowed and whispered, "Mr. Turner, the master awaits." The corridors gleamed with opulence, each room echoing with wealth Derek had never known. But he barely noticed. His heart pounded with unease. At last, they entered a study. Behind a grand mahogany desk sat a man in his 50s, his eyes piercing and familiar, Vincent Harper, the family lawyer. "Derek," Vincent said gravely, "your father left you something. But before we proceed, know this, your path will change everything." He handed Derek a small ornate box. Inside, an envelope sealed with wax. Derek broke it open, his father's handwriting staring back at him. "To my son, Derek, the true heir of Lancaster Enterprises. Do not let the past dictate your future. Trust no one. Take what is rightfully yours. The future of our family rests in your hands." The words struck like lightning. The life he had believed stolen was indeed his all along. Vincent's voice was heavy. "Your father's fortune, everything was hidden away. The family you know has lied to you. But now, it's time to claim your birthright." Derek's fists tightened. For the first time in his life, he felt it, the stir of power, the awakening of purpose. He whispered, almost to himself, "Then it's time to take back what's mine." But just when they thought the nightmare was over, something far darker was already stirring in the shadows. And what comes next will test their courage like never before. Don't miss what happens in the next chapter. Make sure you like this video, share it with someone who loves epic stories, and subscribe so you'll be the first to continue this journey with us.